Good morning and welcome to Taste Test Studios. Joining us on the journey. Today we are going to be making English muffins. We're going to try out a YouTuber, Barry Lewis. We watch his videos all the time. He tries new recipes. He tests kitchen gadgets and stuff. And so we're going to link the recipe we're going to be following down in the description, and we're going to see if it works out. Today we're going to be making English muffins, something that we've always wanted to try. Nick is at church right now, so I'm going to get it going so it can rise, and when he gets back from church, we can make them. Okay, let's go. So, I've measured everything out so far. So first thing we're going to do is we have 175 milliliters of milk, and we are going to add to that, we're going to add 20 grams of softened butter, 20 grams of sugar, just regular white sugar, and we're going to add an egg into that. We're going to just beat that a little. Come on, egg. And we're going to microwave this for about 45 seconds. I'm going to start with 30 seconds and kind of check the temperature, and then we're going to add our yeast. And so we're just microwaving it to just heat it up, so then when we add our yeast, we can activate it and it can get all nice and foamy. I've never done this where I've heated milk. I've always just used water in the bread recipes I've done. And I've never added everything and then heated it. I've added it once it's heated, but I'm just following the recipe as best, and he said add everything and then heat it and then you'll add the yeast. So I personally, he said just go ahead and do it, but I'm gonna check the temperature just to kind of see. With yeast, typically you want it to be between 110 and 115 to add it in. And it needs a little more time. Now with this, I always like to do a very short amount of time just because it heats up really quickly, because you can overheat it and then you gotta wait. So it's hit about 110 degrees, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add in my yeast. So this is roughly a package of yeast. I don't buy it in packages. I just go off the measurements that are on the bottle. And so we're just gonna let that sit for a little bit. If you look, you just want it to get nice and bubbly. It's starting a little bit, but you gotta let it sit. It's gonna sit for probably close to 5-10 minutes. So while the yeast is doing its bubbly thing, I'm gonna go ahead and get my bowl ready for after I've kneaded it and everything. And so I just have a bowl. This is my grandma's bowl. This is the bowl that my grandma taught me to bake in, so I always try to use it. And I'm just gonna pour some olive oil, because that's the oil I got right now. I'm just gonna go in with a paper towel and just make it nice and wet-like. So now it's ready. It's all nice and greasy for when I add everything in. And so here in this red bowl, I have 320 grams of bread flour. We have this drop kitchen scale, which is really nice. It connects to our phones via Bluetooth, and then we can measure out. It also comes with a bunch of recipes that you can follow, which is super cool. But I'm just using it just for its measuring capabilities, which is nice because this recipe is in grams and everything, not in cups. So we got our bread flour. We're going to add 20 grams of polenta. In the recipe, or in his video, he talks about how polenta and cornmeal are pretty much the same thing. I had polenta, so that's what I'm going to use. So 320 grams of bread flour, 20 grams of polenta, and then a pinch of salt. We're just going to mix that. And then if we look, See how it's very bubbly? I'm going to say that's good. So we're just going to go with it. And then we just add in our milk, egg, sugar, yeast mixture. And then we just mix it. And so it's formed like a pretty good clump. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some bread flour and just sprinkle it on my island here, and I'm just going to plop this right on. And so we're just going to knead it, just incorporating a little bit more flour in. You want to keep kneading typically until it's not super sticky, and it's just nice. It's got a nice feeling to it. What I've learned in my amateur bread making is it's all about the feel. It's got a special feel to it. And so just as I feel more sticky bits on it, I just keep adding a little bit more flour. You don't want to add too much flour, but you also want to keep it from sticking to whatever surface you got going on. What I've learned from watching like the Bon Appetit YouTube channels with making bread is they always like pull little bits so it forms like a nice little dough. And then you put it in your bowl, seam side down. And then there it is, just chilling. Barry Luce's recipe calls to cover it with cling film. I am out of cling film, so I'm just gonna wet a damp paper towel or a damp towel and put that over it, and it'll sit about an hour, maybe 2, depending on the temperature of the room, until it's doubled in size, and then we will see you back. Okay, so it's about risen doubled in size, so we're gonna put it onto a floured surface. There we go. I'm gonna punch a little bit of the air out. And in Barry Lewis's recipe, he talks about flattening it and using a circle cutter. I'm going to try a different method. So I'm just going to kind of do this, and I'm going to, like, form them in balls. What do you think, Nick?
That looks pretty good to me. Whee!
And then I'm just going to put them on this cornmeal surface.
What do you think, Bailey? Yeah.
And now we are going to take a towel, get it nice and damp, and then we're just going to put them under the damp towel, and we're going to let them rest for 30 minutes. So they grew, and these two got massive. I should have probably cut it into 8, but you know.
That's a lesson you can learn. You can cut yours into 8.
Yeah, cut yours into 8, or use a circle cutter like the recipe says. So now I'm just heating up a cast iron skillet on like medium low.
You make sure they cook long enough so you cook all the way through so you don't get doughy inside.
Okay, so it's been a couple minutes and they're really starting to smoke, and so I'm gonna flip them over. Look how nice and golden that is. That one's nice and golden too. So then you're just gonna cook them until they're about that color on the other side, and then just cool them.
Hey, we are back. And they are done.
I did have to put them in the oven a little bit because I think I made them too thick.
Yeah, I would say probably a good suggestion if you're making this on your own. You know, give us a picture of what you make. But I would almost say like try to get them at like a 1/2 inch thick, maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. I think ours were like 1 inch thick.
Yeah.
So I would try to go for that 1/2 inch mark and see if that would create it so you don't have to stick it in the oven. If you could just pretty much cook it on the skillet. We ripped one open. We put some apple butter and some butter on it because we're gonna make egg sandwiches later. But I wanted to try them out right now. So, wow, has a good crispy outside and a very good doughy inside, I would say.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like an English muffin like I get from the store. It's not as holy. I don't know if that's my yeast or what.
But they're good. I would try them. So you can follow Barry Lewis's video. You can watch his video. Get an idea. I think he also made it too thick too. So oh well, you learn.
He says in his recipe if it's a true English muffin, it shouldn't be baked. But I didn't want to die.
There we go. So thanks for joining us on the journey of trying out some English muffins. You can. This video right here should be the last video that we have up. And this video over here should be a video that YouTube thinks you'd like. Don't forget to subscribe. And Bailey, shall we
say hi?
Hi. Hi, Bailey. All right, see y'all next time.